Hi Shogi fans, welcome back to my video. Today I'm finally going to talk about Central Rook, but not Gokigen Nakabisha that has been well studied. Instead, I want to talk about classic style Central Rook, and that was named after a professional player who actually existed decades ago, and even Kozo Masuda loved it for its excellence. And we are going through the Central Rook opening, and White plays the ranging Rook. And as usual, White closes the diagonal. This is an important first step. And already on move 6, White shows something interesting, which is silver to 4-2, looking like Yagura opening. And it's natural for black to push the edge pawn because black still has no idea what white is gonna do, right? And the pawn push gives black more flexibility. And then rook to 5-2. And both players go for castling, and the second important thing to remember is not to push the central pawn too soon. And taking the central taking the vanguard position as many as possible was viewed critical strategic principle many years ago, and this type of opening was normal, but then the silver can come out to harass the pawn, basically forcing the black to play knight to 7-7. So actually the structure discourages the type of pawn push, and this is more natural, right? And if black wants to go for quick attack, pushing the edge pawn is must, and then pawn to 3-6. And if black pushes this pawn to go for rapid pawn push engage, silver to 4-3 is good. It protects the square. If black decides to attack, rook to 4-2 is cool. After the gaining the pawn, black still needs a backup, so he would play knight to 3-7, but then go to 3-2 will be fine. Now the bishop is protected by the gold, so bishop trade is welcome. And here black can also wait by left silver to 6-8, and then silver to 4-3. If black keeps going, then go to 3-2 is a good idea to wait. And this pawn push doesn't work so well because white can open up the diagonal, and after the bishop trade, gold can recapture. Pawn to 3-4, and again gold recaptures. Now the third file is weakened, and rook to 3-2 to take the advantage is a good idea for white. And this pawn is very annoying for the silver. Now it cannot come out this way, right? So no, white is in a better shape. If black still waits, pawn to 4-6 is a good option, and still white doesn't want to push the central pawn. After seeing this, rook to 4-2 is cool. I also talked about a similar position in the past video of Masuda, and you should go check it out because it's cool. And it leaves a possibility of silver to 5-4, so it's more flexible for white. Also, if white pushes this pawn, it creates empty space for future bishop drop. So keeping this pawn back is good. All the way. And in this position, Masuda came up with interesting idea against a central rook, and that is go to 5-7. This is strange, right? And this gold works unpredictably, and in my opinion, this is the strongest counter plan against central rook. But don't worry, then not many people know about this strategy these days, and still there is a couple of good countermeasure against this gold. For example, white can play pawn to 5-4, and when gold comes out, rook to 3-2 is possible, just like normal arranging rook strategy. So you shouldn't be too afraid. And in this basic position, black can also play right silver to 5-7. If you see this, silver to 4-3 is a good idea because he can take over the central rank, because white can easily fight back and take back the control on the central file. So black will have to wait like this. And like I said, taking over the central rank, it was viewed as a good strategy, and this pawn push was also popular. Black will likely to advance the silver, right? So before it happens, white can push the central pawn. So when silver comes out, white can exchange pawns. And here white has two options. One is rook to 5-1, and basically forcing black to protect the central square, and white can apply the pressure like this. Now the defense against a side attack is weakened, right? So white can possibly reposition the rook to 2-2, for example. And how are you gonna do that? Well, go to 5-2 is a good idea, and I will just show you an example. If black still goes for castling, it's going to be a big chance. Pawn push to 1-4, creating a space for the knight, and then a rook to 2-1. And since his castle is still incomplete, and these pieces are overextended, so once the rook exchange happens, it's going to be good for white. The other option here would be rook to 5-2. Actually, this is based on the same idea and even quicker. If things go the same way, rook to 2-2 will happen. And after this movement, then white can't initiate the attack. This is going to be more solid. So like we saw, this pawn push is also a risky move. So why not pushing this pawn after all, right? Again, white has two options here. One is 4-2. This is Oyama's idea, and we already know this pawn push doesn't work so well for black because of this. And if black decides to wait, then pawn push to 5-2 finally, and black plays knight to 3-7. White needs to be careful, because if white plays carelessly like this, then black can initiate the attack. If knight takes, black will break through the second file, right? So gold has to take it, but then knight to 4-5, and gold to 3-2, and black's attack doesn't stop. So it's like a one forcing line, and black can sacrifice the bishop to finally break through. And this fork is so strong, and once this silver is removed, black can also promote the knight, and his defense is still intact, right? And whereas the white's defense is pretty weak, so white wants to avoid this. So that's why repositioning this gold before the pawn push is a good idea. If a black closes the diagonal, then this gold can go to the right to build a high minnow castle, for example. So stay flexible. So it doesn't have to stay here forever. And like I said, black can go for slow game by closing the diagonal. Then white can push these pawns in order to not give up this central rank, like that. And possibly white can exchange pawns on the central file, or simply reposition the rook to 3-2, or maybe even 2-2 accordingly. Okay, now we can go back all the way to this position. The biggest concern is Anaguma Castle, and that's actually the main reason the popularity of Hidechan style central rook declined. But of course, it doesn't mean it's useless. You just need to be more wise. In the slow game, the balance structure doesn't actually work. It reduces the opponent's opportunities for piece drop, but your ability to endure more direct and strong attack is weakened. In a slow game, you will have to rely on the integrity of your defense, of course. And in the endgame race, one with a better defense will be able to conduct a reckless attack. And if your defense is weak, an overplay can be a great move. So it's really dangerous. And against Anaguma Castle, half minnow is not so good enough. You will have to be able to stop his attack completely otherwise, and that's really tough. And in a rapid game, silver to 4-3 was completely fine, right? But when it comes to slow game, it doesn't always have to be right. And instead of 4-3, silver to 5-3 is better, because it can simply go to the right, and it doesn't always have to be used for offense. White can also create a stronger defense using it. Here, so basically it's forcing black to play silver to 6-6. And after this, white can push these 3 pawns to apply more pressure on the castle. Basically, white can go for silver crown, and he can even push this pawn further. It's going to be a good attacking base and the great threat against Anaguma Castle. Also, white can reposition the rook to 3-2 or 2-2 accordingly. And like I said, the gold can go to the right instead of the left. If black pushes this pawn to harass the bishop, then go to 4-3 is possible, of course. And once the game gets slow, and again, white can reposition the gold to create better castle. Alright, that's all. I plan to talk more about this because that's interesting to me as well, and if you want to avoid any sort of quick attacks, this may be your new weapon. I hope it's been helpful as always. Thanks for watching and see you all next time. Bye.